You've been told manifestation is about focus, yet the harder you try, the further it slips away. Think of the runner who clenches their jaw, fists pumping, body stiff with effort. They don't run faster, they run heavier. The paradox is that force slows the flow. In manifestation, the same principle rules. The more you chase, the further the desired reality runs from you, because the very signal you're transmitting is not here yet. Every thought, every muscle contraction, every surge of cortisol becomes a broadcast of lack. You're broadcasting absence, not arrival. The science is simple, yet deeply confronting. Your nervous system is the antenna of your reality. The observer effect in quantum physics reveals that observation collapses possibility into form. But what most people forget is that it's not just the conscious mind that observes, it's your entire physiology. Your heart rate, your breathing rhythm, your subconscious microtensions, they are all observations, they are all signals collapsing probabilities. So when you're trying to force something into being, your body is observing stress, observing waiting, observing incompletion. That is the reality it locks into coherence with. And here lies the paradox. Manifestation accelerates, not when you grip harder, but when you release the grip. Not by chasing, but by receiving. Picture the woman checking her phone every 5 minutes for a message. Her pupils dilate, dopamine spikes and crashes, her breath shortens. Biologically, her system is in training to the frequency of "it hasn't come yet." The very act of checking reinforces the absence. Or think of the man refreshing his bank account app at midnight, scanning for deposits that haven't landed. His body learns stress, his heart rate variability drops, his cells wire in uncertainty. Both of them are not failing at manifestation because they don't want enough. They are failing because they want too tightly. Control is resistance. Resistance prevents collapse. The quantum field does not answer your grasp. It responds to your coherence. This is why letting go is not spiritual fluff, but physiological necessity. When you release, your nervous system stops broadcasting stress signals. Your brain waves shift from high beta obsession into alpha rhythm, the state of relaxed awareness where imagination becomes imprint. Your heart synchronizes, your field stabilizes, and coherence is achieved. And coherence collapses faster than control ever could. This is the paradox that feels impossible until you live it. Effort delays, surrender accelerates, not by gripping, by opening, not by tension, by coherence. If this is clicking for you, drop one word in the comments. The frequency you choose to embody this week, because embodiment, not effort, is what the field reads. Now let's go deeper. Imagine traffic at a red light. You stare at the signal, willing it to turn green, foot tapping, jaw tightening. The more you stare, the longer it seems to take. Time stretches because your nervous system is in resistance. But the moment you exhale, glance out the window, loosen your grip on the wheel, the light changes almost instantly. Did the universe bend, or did your perception align? The same principle applies in manifestation. When you stop obsessing, you stop distorting. Time collapses into flow, and science agrees. Studies on heart-brain coherence show that when the heart's rhythm stabilizes into a smooth sine wave, the body emits a more powerful electromagnetic signal, measurable, coherent, aligned. That signal entrains reality faster than any thought shouted from a stressed-out brain. Letting go is not inaction. It's the most potent action. It's the moment your system stops pushing against what is not here and starts transmitting what already is, which means reality has no choice but to mirror it back. The paradox of manifestation is this: the universe does not respond to your effort. It responds to your state, not by chasing, by receiving, not by controlling, by allowing. And yet, if this is true, the question becomes, how do we reprogram a nervous system addicted to grasping? How do we train the body to release when it's been conditioned to control? That is where the deeper science of identity, neuroplasticity, and embodiment begins. The subconscious is not some mystical vault. It is biology, coded in patterns of survival. When you grip onto outcomes, what you are really doing is triggering ancient circuits of control. The amygdala scans for threat. The sympathetic nervous system accelerates, cortisol rises. Your body reads the unknown future as danger, which means that trying harder is not neutral. It is literally a survival broadcast. And the quantum field, which mirrors your state, does not distinguish between chasing safety and chasing abundance. It only reflects the frequency you are embodying. Stress is stress. Lack is lack. Waiting is waiting. That is why people who grind endlessly toward a goal often find themselves stuck in loops of almost but not quite. Their nervous system is so conditioned to anticipate disappointment that the body becomes addicted to the cycle. A student staying up late, forcing affirmations between yawns, rehearsing success while their stomach knots with anxiety about failing. Their biology is learning tension, not triumph. A young man scrolling social media, comparing his progress to others, whispering, "My turn is coming," while his chest tightens with envy. His system is broadcasting separation, not arrival. The field is neutral, but the signals we feed it are not. The paradox is cruel only until you understand it. The more you demand, the louder you transmit, "not yet." Which is why letting go is not laziness, it is calibration. When you release, the body shifts out of survival mode and into regulation. Breath deepens, vagus nerve tone increases, heart rate variability expands. These are not abstract ideas, they are measurable. And when your body enters coherence, the subconscious reprograms. Neuroplasticity is accelerated not under stress, but under relaxation. This is the science of why meditation, music, nature, even laughter become portals for manifestation. They aren't distractions. They are states that tell your biology, safe. And when the body feels safe, it stops scanning for the missing. It starts embodying the having. This is the hidden truth. The subconscious doesn't believe your words. It believes your state. And your state is the true observer in the quantum field, which means the art of manifestation is not about trying harder, but training the body to relax deeper, not forcing the mind to focus, but allowing the system to harmonize, not grasping, becoming. And the more you practice this release, the faster reality responds because the probabilities collapse into coherence, not into resistance. The body does not lie. You can repeat affirmations all day, you can visualize until your forehead tightens, but if your nervous system is still signaling scarcity, the field listens to that signal, not your words. This is why so many people feel frustrated. They say the right things, but their biology betrays them. Neuroplasticity research shows us that the brain doesn't change through thought alone. It changes through embodied repetition, through emotional states that rewire circuits, through experiences that tell the nervous system, this is safe, this is real, this is allowed. Think of someone practicing a new language. Reading words on a page gives them knowledge, but until they speak it in real time, in conversation, under the rhythm of life, the brain doesn't truly rewire. Manifestation works the same way. The words are surface. The state is the experience. Without state, no rewiring. Without coherence, no collapse. That's why embodiment is the missing key. To embody is to let the body feel now what the mind is waiting for later. When you let your system rehearse abundance with the same calm familiarity that it rehearses brushing your teeth, reality has no choice but to meet you there, because you're no longer waiting, you're being. Imagine the woman who has rehearsed worry every morning, waking up, scanning her phone for problems, heart rate already climbing before her feet touch the floor. This daily ritual wires her brain for lack, her body for stress. Now picture her instead waking and breathing deeply for 2 minutes, placing a hand on her chest, letting the nervous system learn safety before the day begins. This tiny shift rewires. It signals coherence. Here it tells the quantum field, I already live in the state I used to chase. This is not performance, it's physiology. The vagus nerve, the heart rhythms, the oscillations of brain waves, they are all observers collapsing probability. They don't listen to the words, I am abundant. They listen to the felt state of abundance embodied. So the paradox reveals itself again. The fastest way to manifest is not to command reality, but to condition the body. Not to fight for the outcome, but to train your system into the frequency where the outcome is natural. Not by force, by frequency. And if this is landing for you right now, pause and drop one word in the comments. The word that names the state you're ready to embody this week. Not someday. Now, because what you call in, you don't chase. You become. Every timeline you could ever live is already coded as a probability in the field. Quantum physics has shown this for decades. Particles exist in superposition until observed, collapsing into one path. But here's the overlooked part. Your nervous system is the observer. Not just your eyes, not just your conscious thought, but the whole electromagnetic orchestra of your body. The way your heart beats, the way your breath flows, the way your gut tightens or relaxes. All of it is observation. And each observation chooses. When you grip outcomes, you collapse timelines into delay, into struggle, into almost but not yet. When you release, you collapse into flow, into synchronicity, into rapid alignment. This is not metaphor, it is mechanics. Picture a musician holding a violin bow too tightly. The strings squeal, the sound distorts, the music feels forced, but loosen the grip, let the hand soften, and suddenly the same notes flow effortlessly, harmonics clear and rich. Manifestation is your life's violin. Your grip determines the sound you broadcast, and reality echoes back the resonance you play. Think of the man rehearsing arguments in his head while driving. His jaw clenches, shoulders tighten, stomach knots. Even without words, his body is transmitting conflict, which means he is not only preparing for stress, he is magnetizing it. Now imagine instead he exhales, releases the loop, drops his shoulders, lets silence enter the car. In that moment, his signal changes. He is no longer feeding conflict. He is aligning with resolution. That single shift in state begins collapsing a new timeline. And this is where identity enters. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest who you are willing to be. Identity is not just psychological, it's neurobiological. The networks in your brain wire together every time you embody a state. Keep embodying stress, and stress becomes your personality. Keep embodying safety, and safety becomes your baseline. Over time, the probabilities collapse in your favor, not because you forced outcomes, but because you became the version of you for whom those outcomes are natural. So, letting go isn't just surrender, it's an identity shift. You stop being the one who waits and start being the one who already lives in alignment. And once your system accepts that identity as normal, the field mirrors it instantly, not by chasing, by becoming. We have to talk about control, because this is where most people unknowingly sabotage manifestation. Control feels safe to the mind. It gives the illusion of progress, lists, plans, constant checking, constant doing. But biologically, control is almost always a signal of stress. When the brain is in high beta frequency, the rapid, jagged brainwave pattern of worry, overthinking, obsession, the nervous system receives the message, we are not safe, we must fix, we must grasp. And when that becomes the dominant broadcast, the quantum field only hears one thing: survival. Not expansion, not creation. Survival. That's why the paradox is so difficult to embody. The more you try to control outcomes, the more you collapse timelines of resistance. It's like swimming upstream. You're exerting effort, but the current of reality pushes back harder. Letting go, on the other hand, is like turning with the current. Suddenly the river carries you farther in seconds than effort carried you in years. But let's make this practical. Imagine someone waiting for a promotion at work. Every day, they replay conversations with their boss, they analyze every email, they wonder if they're being overlooked. This obsessive microcontrol makes their body tighten, their sleep shallow, their energy drained. When they finally do sit in front of their boss, the signal they broadcast is desperation. The nervous system of the other person picks it up instantly, because we are always tuning forks for each other's states. The result? Resistance, delay, the opposite of what was intended. Now imagine instead that same person choosing to release. They breathe deeply before meetings. They decide to embody the identity of already worthy instead of waiting for permission. They enter the room coherent instead of contracted. Their voice is steady, their presence magnetic. The promotion doesn't just become possible, it becomes inevitable, because reality bends faster around coherence than around control. Science supports this. HeartMath Institute has shown in repeated studies that when heart rhythms shift into coherence, smooth ordered waves instead of chaotic, jagged patterns, the entire nervous system entrains to safety. In that state, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for clarity, decision-making, creativity, lights up. Which means you don't just feel calmer, you actually become more intelligent, more resourceful, more magnetic. And the field mirrors that shift almost instantly, because probabilities collapse according to coherence, not according to obsession. Here's the irony. Most people try to manifest from high beta stress because they think more thought equals more power. But the opposite is true. Manifestation is not a product of intensity, but of resonance. Not the force of your mind, but the harmony of your body. That's why moments of surrender, a walk in nature, laughing with a friend, listening to music that opens your chest, often precede breakthroughs. Because in those moments, your nervous system stops gripping. Your state becomes coherent and reality can finally flow. Think of a theater actor on stage. If they forget their line and start panicking, their whole body contracts. The audience feels it. The scene stalls. But if they laugh, breathe, improvise with ease, the performance continues seamlessly. Sometimes even better than scripted. Life is your stage, and manifestation is improvisation with the field. When you grip, you freeze. When you let go, you create. So control is not power. Coherence is. The true mastery is in training your system to release when it wants to contract, to open when it wants to grip, to soften when it wants to harden. That training is the art of manifestation. Because the field does not respond to your effort, it responds to your state. And here is the mantra that crystallizes this truth. Not by force, but by frequency. Not by chasing, but by receiving. Not by grasping, but by being. If this is resonating, I want you to choose one area of your life where you've been gripping too tightly. Money, love, career, health. And this week, practice the paradox. Release, regulate, embody. Watch how timelines shift the moment you stop chasing them. Because the moment you let go, the river moves. And the river knows where you're meant to go. Let's deepen into the mechanics of surrender, because too often people mistake it for passivity. Surrender is not giving up. It is tuning in. It is aligning your physiology with the field instead of fighting against it. In quantum mechanics, particles move into coherence not through force, but through resonance. A laser beam, for example, is just light waves in perfect synchronization. Ordinary light scatters in all directions, chaotic, unfocused. But when those waves harmonize, suddenly the same photons travel in unison, capable of cutting through steel. The power isn't in the intensity, it's in the coherence. Your nervous system works the same way. When your heart, brain, and breath are in sync, your electromagnetic field expands, your cells regulate, your subconscious receives new programming. This state of coherence is what collapses reality faster than any amount of mental forcing ever could. The paradox is that people chase results with scattered energy instead of aligning their system into coherence. And scattered energy can't cut through probability, only coherence can. Let's anchor this in daily life. Picture a student preparing for an exam. One night, they're panicked, flipping through notes at 2 a.m., brain flooded with adrenaline. The next night, they review calmly, take breaks, breathe deeply, and even allow themselves to imagine success. Which study session do you think wires the brain for recall? The frantic, scattered night, or the regulated, coherent one? Neuroscience is clear. Memory consolidation strengthens under calm states, not stress, which means the student who lets go actually performs better. Manifestation is the same exam. Your body learns faster. Your reality collapses cleaner when your system is regulated. Another scenario, someone waiting for a call from a doctor. They check their phone every 5 minutes, heart pounding, mind racing through worst-case outcomes. This constant checking is not neutral. It is training their biology to live in fear. But imagine if, instead, they set the phone down, breathed into their belly, allowed themselves to listen to music or journal. They may still feel nervous, but by regulating their system, they broadcast a different signal. They shift from "I'm powerless" to "I am safe," even in uncertainty. That state collapses probabilities differently, not because the universe rewards positivity, but because biology entrains reality. And this is where trauma enters the conversation. Many people resist letting go because control was once survival. As children, they learned to anticipate every danger, to scan every tone of voice, to grasp tightly to any sense of safety. Control was not a choice, it was adaptation. But manifestation requires a new pattern, teaching the body that safety exists without grasping. That regulation can happen without hypervigilance. This is why practices like breathwork, meditation, or even mindful movement aren't woo. They are nervous system retraining. They are ways to show the subconscious. It is safe to release. And once the body learns safety, letting go becomes natural. The quantum field mirrors this learning. A nervous system that no longer broadcasts survival collapses timelines of expansion instead. That's why people often notice sudden breakthroughs after periods of deep healing. It's not coincidence. It's biology syncing with physics. Their system stops chasing and starts receiving. Think of an athlete stepping up to the free throw line in basketball. If they grip the ball too tightly, obsess about missing, their shot falters. But the great players breathe, relax their shoulders, trust the practice encoded in their body. They let go into the moment. And that letting go increases accuracy. Life is the same game. Your shot lands not when you force it, but when you flow through it. So surrender is not passivity. It is participation at the deepest level. It is saying to the field, I am coherent, I am aligned, I trust the collapse. And in that trust, probabilities bend faster, because there is no resistance blocking the flow. This is why the paradox is so liberating. The very thing you feared would slow you down, letting go, is the thing that accelerates you most. And here's the invitation. This week, practice surrender in one small way. When you notice yourself checking, forcing, obsessing, pause, exhale, release the grip. Teach your system safety. That single act begins collapsing timelines you couldn't reach through effort alone, because the universe doesn't respond to the grip, it responds to the release. Not by control, by coherence, not by forcing, by flowing. Let's talk about embodiment, because this is where the science and the mystery meet. You cannot think your way into a new life while your body remains wired for the old one. Thoughts without embodiment are like blueprints never built. They are ideas without walls, dreams without ground. The subconscious, which runs over 90% of your patterns, doesn't understand someday. It only understands now, which means the most direct way to collapse a timeline is to embody it as present. Neurobiology proves this. The brain doesn't fully distinguish between lived experience and vividly embodied rehearsal. Athletes who mentally rehearse movements in a state of calm coherence activate the same neural circuits as those performing in real time. Surgeons, musicians, even military pilots use this method, not just imagining success, but embodying it with breath, posture, and feeling. Over weeks, the brain wires the experience as if it already happened. That's not fantasy, that's neuroplasticity. So the art of manifestation is less about repeating "I am abundant" 1,000 times, and more about teaching your body what abundance feels like until it becomes familiar. The body has to learn a new baseline. Imagine the difference between someone saying "I'm confident" while their shoulders are hunched, jaw clenched, stomach tight, versus someone breathing deeply, standing tall, gaze soft yet steady. The first is words. The second is embodiment. The quantum field doesn't echo words. It echoes embodiment. Here's a real-life scenario. A person goes on a date. They've repeated affirmations all week. I am lovable, I am magnetic. But when they sit across the table, their nervous system betrays them. They fidget, they overthink, they scan for rejection. What's being broadcast? Not "I am magnetic," but "I am anxious." Now imagine the same person doing the inner work beforehand, regulating their breath, practicing safety in their own body, remembering the calm frequency of self-acceptance. On the date, they are relaxed, present, coherent. Which version collapses the probability of connection? The field mirrors the embodied one, always. Or think of money. Someone trying to manifest abundance obsessively checks their account, crunches numbers, panics at every unexpected expense. Their body is in fight or flight. They might say money flows easily to me, but their nervous system screams scarcity. On the other hand, someone begins training their body to stay regulated, slowing their breath when bills arrive, practicing gratitude for what is present, allowing themselves to feel safe even while numbers fluctuate. Over time, that embodied safety becomes a new baseline, and the field responds, not by magic, but by coherence. Their state collapses probabilities where money flows more freely because they're no longer transmitting lack. Embodiment also explains why people often manifest breakthroughs during play, relaxation, or joy, dancing, laughing, walking barefoot in nature. These aren't distractions. They are states where the body naturally relaxes into coherence. In those moments, the subconscious learns, I am safe, I am whole, I am free. That is the signal the field reads. That is the embodied frequency that pulls timelines into alignment. Theater gives us another metaphor. An actor who merely recites lines without feeling doesn't move the audience. But when they embody the character fully, posture, breath, emotion, the performance becomes real. In that moment, even though the story is fiction, the audience's nervous system reacts as if it is truth. Life works the same way. When you embody the version of you who already lives the reality you seek, your nervous system reacts as if it's truth, and the field cannot tell the difference. It collapses accordingly. This is the paradox. You don't wait for the reality to make you feel it. You feel it until the reality appears. You don't beg the future to give you a state. You embody the state, and the future bends to it. Not by longing, by living. So embodiment is not pretending, it's training. It's teaching your nervous system a new baseline so thoroughly that reality has no option but to reflect it. This is how identities shift, how neuroplasticity rewires, how timelines collapse. The quantum field is not impressed by how much you want, it's entrained by who you are. And this is why letting go accelerates, because when you let go of forcing, you finally allow embodiment. You finally let your body feel now instead of waiting for later. And the field echoes now, not later. Not by someday, by today, not by pretending, by embodying. Every teaching we've explored points to one truth. Manifestation is not about bending the universe with effort, but about tuning yourself into coherence, so reality has no choice but to mirror you. The paradox is clear. The more you grip, the more you delay. The more you release, the faster timelines collapse. And the reason is both spiritual and scientific. Your state is the observer, and the observer creates the world. So let's tie this together through the most human lens. Identity. Every outcome you seek is already aligned with a version of you. There is a you who already lives in that relationship. A you who already inhabits that abundant flow. A you who already feels free, peaceful, creative, purposeful. That version doesn't need to be chased. It needs to be embodied. The act of manifestation is nothing more than collapsing into that identity through coherence. And the only thing that ever delays it is resistance. Think of it like stargazing. When you try to stare too hard at a faint constellation, it blurs. But when you soften your gaze, let the edges of your vision open, suddenly the stars reveal themselves. It wasn't the stars that changed, it was your state of seeing. Manifestation works exactly the same way. The reality you long for is already shining. But your grip blinds you. Your release allows you to see. Let's bring this into life again. Imagine someone who has been trying to manifest a partner. They scroll through apps endlessly, overanalyze every message, replay every silence. Their system is broadcasting loneliness, pressure, grasping. But the moment they release, focusing instead on embodying love in their daily life, treating themselves with the attention they crave, feeling safety in their own skin, something shifts. Suddenly, they're magnetic. They meet someone at the coffee shop, through a friend on a random Tuesday afternoon. Why? Because their body stopped broadcasting absence and started embodying presence. The field collapsed accordingly. Or consider a person working toward health. They force themselves into strict diets, punish themselves in the gym, obsess over every number on the scale. The grip tells their body, we are not safe, we are not enough. And their biology responds with stress, inflammation, sabotage. But when they release, moving with joy, eating with awareness, treating rest as sacred, the body heals. Because coherence is the frequency of healing, not control. This is the secret. Manifestation is not an external achievement. It's an internal alignment. When the heart, brain, and body align into safety and coherence, you become the version of you that the future was waiting for, and the future collapses into now. Philosophically, this means something profound. Reality is not something you chase into being. It's something you tune into by becoming. Just as a radio station is always broadcasting, but only plays when you tune your dial, the life you desire is already here, awaiting your coherence. So here is the invitation I leave you with. Stop asking, how do I get there? And start asking, how do I embody it now? Because the answer is always the same. Regulate your breath. Release your grip. Relax into coherence. Embody the identity that already lives the outcome. And reality will collapse faster than you ever thought possible, not by control, by coherence, not by chasing, by receiving, not by waiting, by being. If this resonates, I'd love to hear your reflection. Drop one word in the comments that names the frequency you are ready to embody now. Safety, love, trust, expansion. Choose it, live it. Let the field echo it back. And if you're ready to keep exploring how science and spirit meet, hit subscribe and join this community of coherence. Because here, we're not just talking about manifestation, we are embodying it together.